Hi, my name is Joelle Gefre, and I will be reporting on 2 separate weeks of weather for my final screencast for Unit 15. I will be explaining each week's weather from the actual weather site observations to the National Weather Service data for Fairbanks, Alaska. Here is the surface air temperature data for the week of March 4th through March 9th. I am going to start with the weather station temperatures. The weather station temperature data starts on March 5th at about 5 degrees Fahrenheit, climbing up on March 6th and 7th to 20 degrees Fahrenheit on March 6th to 25 degrees Fahrenheit on March 7th. Then the temperature drops back down for the next 2 days, dropping to 14 degrees Fahrenheit on March 8th to 5 degrees on March 9th. The National Weather Service temperatures sort of correspond to the weather station temperatures. The National Weather Service data shows on March 4th the temperature starts in the morning at about negative 18 degrees and climbs throughout the day to a high point of about negative 2 degrees by the late afternoon and dropping back down to about negative 18 degrees by nighttime. On March 5th, the National Weather Service data reports the temperature starts off a little warmer at negative 15 degrees Fahrenheit, but then drops during the morning to about negative 27 degrees Fahrenheit. By early afternoon, the temperature steadily rises to 12 degrees Fahrenheit, and by the evening, the temperature stays at about 10 degrees Fahrenheit. For the morning of March 6th, the temperature maintains around 10 degrees Fahrenheit throughout mid-morning, and then rises to 25 degrees Fahrenheit by the warmest part of the day, around 4 p.m. The temperature then drops to about 20 degrees Fahrenheit by the evening. On March 7th, the temperature starts out in the morning at about 20 degrees Fahrenheit, climbs to 25 degrees Fahrenheit by afternoon, and drops to the evening to about 10 degrees Fahrenheit. March 8th, the temperature starts out at 10 degrees Fahrenheit and drops throughout the morning down to negative 3 degrees Fahrenheit. By noon, the temperature begins to climb, reaching 17 degrees Fahrenheit by the end of the night. On March 9th, the temperature starts at about 17 degrees Fahrenheit in the morning and steadily drops throughout the day to negative 7 degrees Fahrenheit by late afternoon or late evening. The day that I would say was most typical is March 4th because the temperature starts low, gradually increases to the warmest point by late afternoon, and then begins to cool back down at the end of the day to the starting point of the beginning of the day. Here is the humidity data for the week of March 4th through March 9th. I can see that the dew point pretty much follows the National Weather Service temperatures throughout the week. As the dew point temperature increases, the relative humidity decreases. When the relative humidity reaches 100%, the air is saturated and the air temperature matches the dew point temperature. As the air warms, the relative humidity decreases, and the difference between the actual air temperature and the dew point increases. Here are the surface air temperature data for the week of April 15th through April 20th. You can see that for the National Weather Service data, this week is a little more uniform than the week in March. Each day the temperature starts out cooler and throughout the day warms to the warmest point by late afternoon and then drops back down to about where it started by the end of the night. On April 16th, the weather station temperature was 57 degrees Fahrenheit, dropping a little on April 17th to 55 degrees Fahrenheit, and a little more on April 18th to 52 degrees Fahrenheit. On April 19th, the temperature increases a few degrees up to 54 degrees Fahrenheit, and then is the same on April 20th at 54 degrees Fahrenheit. You can see that the temperature for each day at the weather station corresponds to the National Weather Service temperature data at the same time. Here's the humidity data for the week of April 15th through April 20th. It is also shown here that as the dew point temperature increases, the relative humidity decreases and vice versa. Here are the two TV weather maps for March 5th and March 9th. At the beginning of the week, there is a low pressure system moving in over the interior of Alaska with a cold front. There is snow with showers moving in from the south. By the end of the week, on March 9th, we have a low pressure system just south of the interior at about the Gulf of Alaska. The interior of Alaska is sitting just under the outskirts of this low pressure system. There is a stationary front just southeast of the interior with fog and showers. Here are the TV weather maps for April 16th and April 20th. At the beginning of the week, there's a stationary front moving up from the Gulf of Alaska to the interior. Fairbanks is sitting on the outskirts of the low pressure system. By the end of the week, on April 20th, the interior of Alaska is sitting in between two low pressure systems. There is no evidence of a cold or warm front. Reflecting on the semester, I know that I have learned many useful tools for interpreting the weather maps and surface maps, plus having a better understanding and appreciation for weather forecasters. I am earning my degree in elementary education and know that everything I have picked up in this class and have learned will be very useful in teaching basic weather concepts to my students one day. I also have the tools to help kids understand forecasting themselves, and we can set up our own weather stations and observe the weather, then comparing them to the National Weather Service data as we did in this class. I am very happy with what I am taking from this class and know that I will use these tools in my everyday life while experience the weather.